With over 60 different oak species in the U.S. alone and hundreds more across the globe, it can be challenging to identify oak leaves. To help narrow down a specific tree, they can be distinguished into two basic categories by leaf shape alone: red oaks and white oaks. Learning the difference is the first step to identifying an oak leaf. So, we are going to watch about the how to identify oak leaves.
Method 1. Studying leaves effectively. First is differentiate oak trees from other species.
Oaks, which all fall under the genus Quercus, are widespread trees found in temperate climates the world over. There are over 600 known species of oak, with 55 found in the continental United States. Because there is such a wide variety of oak trees in the world, it can be hard to find characteristics that unite them all. However, they do exist. Are the easiest way to spot an oak tree. If the tree produces acorns, it's an oak. Are leaves that have rounded or pointed knobs extending out from the center line. While a few oaks do not have lobes, all of the leaves are generally symmetrical around a clear median line. Bark on oak trees is variable, but it is generally made up of small, hard, and scaly bits of bark. This is unlike the large, flaky chunks of pines or the wallpaper-like bark on birch trees, and is much more cracked and grooved. Step 2. Look at the tips of the lobes to determine if you have a red or white oak. Lobes are the bits of leaf that extend out to each side from the center of the leaf, like points on a star. White oaks have rounded lobes while red oaks have pointed ones. This is an important distinction that will cut the number of potential trees you are trying to identify in half. On red oaks, the vein of the leaf extends all the way out to the edge, creating this point.
Step 3. Consider your geographical region.
Each area has its own assortment of oak species, which is often drastically different from other areas. The species of oak you will encounter changes great depending on where you are in the world, as it is rare for an oak found on the east coast to be found in the west, a southern oak in the north, etc. You can generally figure out your region with a few criteria. Examples here are for continental US. General location: northeast, southeast, midwest, northwest, southwest, inland or coastal, mountainous or flat terrain.
Step 4. Count the lobes on each leaf.
The lobes are the sections that extend out from the center of the leaf stem on both sides. If possible, compare multiple leaves to find the average number of lobes. A few species such as the willow oak have no lobes at all, but most oaks have multiple lobes. Count at least 4 to 5 leaves when identifying, as this will help when you turn to the field guide.
Step 5. Measure the indentations between the leaves.
Look at the area between the lobes and determine whether the indentations are deep or shallow. White oak leaves often have variable indentations that alternate randomly between shallow and deep, where red oaks can have dramatic, sharp indentations or none at all. Evergreen species can have leaves that are entire, without lobes or teeth, or that have only faintly wavy edges.
Step 6. Look for color changes in the fall.
The leaves of evergreen oaks are shiny and dark green all year, but most oaks will turn colors in autumn. Some oaks, such as scarlet oak, Quercus coccinea, sport brilliant colors in the fall. White oaks and chestnut oaks are often a dull brown when color comes around. If it's summer, look at whether the leaves are dark green or light green, and whether they're shiny or not, to help determine the species.
Step 7. Measure the overall size of the leaves.
Evergreen oaks and a couple red oaks such as scrub oak have smaller leaves while most red oaks and nearly all deciduous white oaks have much larger leaves, at least 4 in. This is one of the more important distinguishing features between similar species of oak. Finally, identify any unknown oaks using a field guide by the U.S. Forestry Service. Using the data you've collected, identify your oak tree using a tree manual or field guide. There are dozens and dozens of oak trees out there, and you can't be expected to know them all by heart. Use the above criteria to narrow down your choices. Then use the guide to find what oak you're looking at. You can look through the collection of common oak trees below, or consult a field guide found through the U.S. Forestry Service. Turn to the appropriate section. Most guides are divided into a red oak section and a white oak section. Narrow your selection down to the oaks specific to your area. A good guide should have distribution maps for each species. Once you have a list of possibilities, look at the pictures for each one to determine your tree.
Method 2. Recognizing some common oak trees.
First is identify the common white oak by its scaly, warty acorns. There is not only a category for all white oaks. There is actually a white oak, Quercus alba, as well. It is distinguished by scaled, wart-like marks on the acorns and lightly colored bark. The leaves have 5 to 7 lobes, fanning out wider as you get to the tip of the leaf. Indentations roughly halfway to the center. Bright, light green color. Lobes with rounded tips, like rabbit ears.
Step 2. Identify the post oak.
This Midwestern oak has dark bark and distinctive leaves. Usually 5 lobes. Wide, cross-like lobes. Leathery, dark texture and color.
Step 3. Identify the bur oak.
Bur oaks, also found in the Midwest, have enormous leaves and distinctive acorns, which have an enormous cup, the little hat on the end, that almost covers the entire thing. Leaves can get up to 1 foot long, wide, almost flat-ended lobes.
Step 4. Identify the chestnut oak.
Found often in rocky terrain. This widespread tree has reddish-brown acorns, dark brown, furrowed bark. The edges of the leaves look like a serrated knife, but the veins don't go all the way to the points. Leaf is wide on top, then gets smaller near the base. Leaves between 4 to 9, long and 4 inches wide.
Step 5. Identify the common red oak.
The common red oak has flat-topped acorns, like it was wearing a pork pie hat. Light green leaves with 6 to 7 lobes, indented roughly midway to the center. Pointed lobes may have 2 smaller points on either side and bristle-like tips, like those on a holly leaf but not sharp to the touch.
Step 6. Identify the shumar oak.
The cup of the egg-shaped acorn only covers 1/4 of the whole nut, and the bark is long and light-colored. A tall tree, it can get over 100 feet in height. Leaves are dark green. Lobes divide at the end into many bristle-tipped teeth. Deep indentations.
Step 7. Identify the pin oak.
A common decorative tree. These fast-growing oaks have small, distinctive acorns with a saucer-shaped cap and smooth, gray bark. Thin leaves with deep indentations, making the leaf look skinny. 5 to 7 lobes, each with multiple points at the end. Very bright, vibrant fall coloring to leaves. The northern pin oak has similar leaves, but a much longer acorn.
Finally, identify the black oak.
Black oaks have indistinctive leaves, but they do have a bright orange underbark that you can often see in cracks on the tree. Dark green leaves, large leaves, up to 12 inches long, that are wider at the ends than the base.
We hope it is useful to you. Please subscribe to our channel to upskill yourself.